So I found out that celiac has two things in it. It has two components. It has a gliadin and glutathin. And when we swallow gluten, the gliadin makes your body attack itself. It's like it's a toxic thing that you just swallowed, like a bad virus, and that's why we get the stomach pains and we get everything else that goes with it. I call it flu, like the flu. That's the only way I can describe it to somebody who doesn't have this. There are tiny hairs in our small intestines called the villi. The difference between someone who eats regular food or someone who has a gluten intolerance but not celiac. If you have celiac, the villi, when the food goes through, when the food goes through, the villi burn off. And the villi are there so that when you're eating food, it captures your nutrients. So you become vitamin deficient eventually if you're gluten-free and you don't know. So what happens is I became vitamin deficient. I didn't know all this information. I started looking into it. They will grow back, by the way. If you don't eat gluten for 48 hours or cross-contaminate or anything, they will grow back. So the gluten-free people who don't have celiac, they still get where the body attacks itself, but they don't get the burning of the villi. And that's what they look like. So these are all the nice symptoms that we get. And that's why I just kind of say a flu. 40% of the people in the United States have one or both of the genes. And so 3% of those with the genes actually get celiac disease. And I think depression, that will come with maybe the vitamin loss and the change of your life, what you've had to do to change everything. And you know what, I found this very interesting. And how do you get celiac? I always thought it was a gene that my parents gave me, and unfortunately I blamed them, I'm sure it was them, and they're both alive. And I sent them both to have blood work done, and they do not have celiac. So I had to go on to the next thing. I have 55 first cousins, nobody has celiac. So I'm thinking I should play the lottery maybe, but the genetic testing can reveal the chances, of developing celiac, so they can see that you have the gene. And when you get the genetic testing, it comes back either your propensity. You either have a low propensity, medium, or an extra high propensity of either having celiac or you will have celiac. The traditional way is probably what most people do, is they eat gluten for 2 weeks and then you go have the upper endoscopy. That's why it wasn't an option for me. I would have been on the floor. It's estimated that 1 in 3 people, 133, have celiac disease, but a lot of people don't know. They just think, like the older generation, they have sensitive stomachs. So people, I don't know if they ask you, but they ask me all the time, well, how did this happen? Right? So I had to look into it because I was tired of getting that question. And it was, in the mid-60s, 70s, someone wanted to solve world hunger, and one of the things he did was, he put so many chemicals in it. He got a Nobel Peace Prize for making the wheat be, 3 feet to 10 feet tall, and it did help a lot of people. I think all the stuff that goes into the foods, it's a combination of everything. It's a combination of genetics. It's a combination of what they've done with the wheat and the chemicals that they put into it. And I just kind of give what they put into it. So many words that we can't even say, so I'm sure it's not that great for us. What I did find out is that wheat does not grow freely. It doesn't grow out there, in a field that we've never seen. Apparently it hasn't grown that way since the 1800s. Interesting. So this is where I was saying I was making the meals and they were really, really boring. And I got a lot of complaints from the household. But then I thought one day, why don't I try to take my existing recipes that I made before and change them so that they're gluten-free, but that they taste the same, and don't tell the teenagers. And so I started doing that, and it started working. Like what I was saying earlier too is that, to this man here, is that